Hey, welcome back. Shannon, we've got to go prepared. Stay tuned. Coming up next, we're going to talk about some different ways to Hey, Shannon here. Got to go prepared. Here in Middle Tennessee, it is pretty hot today. Yesterday wasn't too bad. Today is humid. Like I said, we're going to be talking about some different ways to make fire and go over several of them. I'm not going to be able to hit on everything, and I'm sure there's other ways out there to do it that I'm not going to touch on today, but these are just a few. I may mention a few of the other ones that I don't have on hand here to do. I am going to do a bow drill near the end. I'm not a bushcrafter, either way. I enjoyed playing around with it, and used to do some reenactment French and Indian War stuff years ago, and when you're doing that stuff, some of the guys are really authentic, and everything had to be authentic, so we had to make fire and do all those things just like the native people would have back then, which includes one of the ways I'm going to talk about, the flint and steel striker kit, which I did add a few other things in this. Some of you might be wondering what this thing is on my leg. Thermocell. Keeps mosquitoes away. Over here in the shade, the mosquitoes seem to want to be run off with me over here. So this is supposed to put a 15-foot barrier around me with it on without spraying a bunch of spraying junk on. So I usually just clip it on when I'm walking through the woods, and then lay it down when I'm not. I like it. It's a pretty good thing. Keep mosquitoes away. It works great. I've gone out without it and get eat up, put it on, and don't get touched. So I'd say that's a good step saying it does work. A couple ones I want to talk about here is one, I wanted to get some fat wood, and I couldn't get up high enough in the tree that I had close by to get to some new fat wood that I was trying to harvest. So I'm going to have to get a little bit larger ladder. But this is pine residue. You'll see it's kind of a yellow gold, and it's be seeping out of pine trees. But I'm going to take this here and just kind of crush it up. And see if we can't make a fire out of it. I've done it with some before, and this right here I've had out for a little while, so it's gotten a little bit gummy. I thought we'd take a shot and see how it works. And I'm gonna just use a good old trusty lighter. My lighter here, I've showed you in other videos, I've got it wrapped with Gorilla Tape, and I brought a little extra Gorilla Tape out here because if you didn't know this, and you do have some Gorilla Tape or duct tape, it's got an adhesive on the back of it, and it'll catch a flame and start burning. Now, I'm not sure if you can see that where you're at right there, but that is burning. Get it burning a little bit more. We'll take it down. Alright, let's just put a spark on this pine resin here. And what I'm going to do, since my lighter is not really long, another thing, this is a birthday candle. Ones that you blow out and they come back, kind of frustrating. If you've only got a one match or a lighter and you want to conserve your fuel, why not just go ahead and light one of these birthday candles that have trouble blowing out. I guess they're a trick candles, what they call them. I guess you can see that. I'm going to just use it to light the pine resin. And I can see if you can see that flame getting way bigger with that pine resin on there. So the trick candles, of course, I just blew that one out. These are actually kind of cheap ones. I recommend getting the better ones. They have a stripe around it. This is the only one I could find shorthand. But the other thing I keep with that lighter is a little pencil sharpener with shavings in it, which you can take the shavings out from whatever you got, and now you got some extra tinder for your fire. Let's just use the candle again. What I'm going to do here is try to move that trick candle over and try to create a little funky bird nest and show you this tinder kit right here. Little Altoid type tin. I've got a Ranger band around it. Inside this I've got a piece of flint, which if you actually use all that you can find more flint laying around. I got some jute twine, which makes good tinder. I have a wet fire in there, and I have a little small Bic lighter. Now, if I don't have to make a fire the hard way, why do it? Use a Bic lighter. But if this Bic lighter breaks and I lose the fluid or it runs out, it makes a small spark with the flint. And you can use your fine tinder, jute twine, cotton, or if you can find a cattail and bust open the end of the cattail, there's some fluffy stuff in there that you can take a spark from a lighter or a ferrocerium rod or something like that, and you can get a fire started even though your fluid's gone. So if you break your lighter and you're out, don't throw it away. You still got a little bit of flint strike in there as well. But when I used to do French and Indian War reenactment, some of the native reenactors that I hung around with, we did everything the hard way. So we used char cloth. What I got in this is the char cloth is in the bottom underneath this little leather tab that keeps it really dry. And all char cloth is cotton that you can cut away from a bandana, a shirt, what have you, and put it in the tin in your fire, shut the box and throw it in the fire. And it's got some small breather holes, and it'll start to smoke from this really bad, but it won't burn the cloth. So when you open it up, your cloth is all charred, which means it'll take a spark. And what I'm going to attempt to do here, I've got a little breeze blowing even though it is pretty hot, is try to get this to take a spark and try to get it to light this. Always take your time when you're building your fires. You get all your fine material, whether it be cotton and dryer lint or cattail reed or fluff or sawdust that you grinded from a tree with your knife. A lot of different things. You can get real small fine stuff, and then build you a small bird nest kind of with that material. Just fluff it out and build you a bird nest with it. So when you get your spark in there, I'm gonna blow that trick candle out. Hey, it went out. I guess it don't stay being a trick candle all the way down to the end, does it? I'd recommend buying a more expensive trick candle. That one was a cheap pack. I'm actually gonna get rid of them because they don't do as well as I thought they would. But what I'm gonna do is try to show you how to do this, and I hope the camera can pick it up. But I'm gonna lay the piece of char cloth on the bottom and hold it with my finger against the flint. See that? And I'm gonna take my steel striker. Same concept as your knife blade with the ferrocerium rod. Buddy of mine, he's a blacksmith. He made these for me. They're replicas from what they used during the French and Indian Revolutionary War. All the frontiersmen used them. But you put it right on the edge, so as you hit this and it takes the spark. Here's my char cloth. Hopefully you can see those sparks coming off. By the time I get over here with that spark from the camera, it goes out on me. I'm going to just do it from here. I've done this hundreds of times, and now watch me try to do it and not get a fire going now that I'm on the video. Yeah, it's burning a little bit. I think some of my tinder got a little bit damp. I had some of the dryer lint there and I had it sitting out all night and it's not wanting to cooperate. But that's why you have a lot of char cloth. And I do want to try to get something small started here. Sometimes fires don't happen immediately. It takes patience and time. You're making your fire, you really need to baby it. I burnt myself with charcoal. And I blew it too far underneath there. Well, I don't want to keep running this video long, me trying to make a fire with that. You see where I burned in my finger trying to get it to start. It works the same as a ferrocerium rod. Ferrocerium rods are way more accurate. It takes a spark a lot better, but if it's all you got in the kit, and what's bad is generally I can do this pretty quick. You maybe take a pause and see if I can get this tinder dry enough to get this to work for you. I don't know if you can see that flame. If not, drop that. I had to separate my little bundle tinder a little looser so that edges could catch on fire to get the fire going. Then you got all your tinder in there, and hopefully you can see that little fire taking place. But you've got to be really delicate when you're starting a fire. You know, when you're using any kind of natural method like that. You can see you got a good little fire going there, but when you're using the flint and steel method, it's a bit tedious. You got to really have your stuff going and ready to go when you're going. That's why you may well start with having your lighter in there and your wet fire. I mean, if I tell you the hardest thing is try to start a fire like that when you're trying to do it with a flint and everything is really wet outside. It is not an easy task. So you got a good little fire going there. The other thing that I put that up, I want to show you. In the bottom of that, I do keep a piece of steel wool, and the reason, if you didn't know this already, I'm sure some of you watching probably do, is steel wool is flammable as well. And I'm just going to tear a piece of this off without losing everything in my kit. You take your steel wool and you fluff it out a little bit like that. Of course you want to have it, I'm not going to build another fire here. That one's going pretty good. But in my pocket on the previous video you would have seen I keep this little small Altoid tin, and inside of it is tinder. And one of those tinders is steel wool. And then I keep a small little signal mirror on the back of it. Signal mirror is good for signaling. It's also good for checking your eyes, checking your body for ticks, checking your teeth, keeping them clean. But also in my pocket I keep this small light, which some of you may have seen. The block light. I think there's another brand called Cube Light. This fits on a 9-volt battery. But having my 9-volt battery, and I've got this little bird nest ready here, this is going to go really quick, and I don't want to burn myself because once it touches, like I said, it's better to have a good fresh battery you only use for this purpose. 9-volt Duracell battery, 4-aught steel wool. And then you can get it in your bird nest. you have flame. But that's how easy a 9-volt battery can get you a fire going if you got some steel. We'll put that out. Don't want to get that fire too big. I got a really good neighbor next door. His dog and my dog are friends. They run around the fence together. A lot of times I don't want him to think I'm trying to catch the woods on fire near the house. Make sure we keep that out. Anyway, that was another way to start a fire that I keep this little one on me. So I've got light, a way to make a fire, and a small mirror. Not to mention I always keep my knife and a few other things on me at all times as well, but I keep that there. Another great thing to keep your fire, if you're familiar with Esbit, and I'm not going to light this, but this is an Esbit cube. It's for your Esbit stove. These little cubes will burn for a long time, and if you have the stove or you just have the cube, you can actually get a cup of water boiling just from this one cube. And if you don't need the whole cube, you can actually cut this in half and wrap the other part back up and conserve it. There's also something similar, and I didn't bring it out here, and I do have some back at home. I think they're called Zips. They use them, if you look in the charcoal lighter fluid grill section, there are little sticks inside a wrapper. They come in a box, and it's helping get your charcoal lit faster. And those things are like soaked in kerosene or something. They smell pretty strong, but you're talking about getting a fire started quick and hot on your campfire. Those things are great. Just keep them in a Ziploc or something to keep them sealed up, because once you open them, they tend to get pretty strong. You can find those just about anywhere. Another fire making technique, it has dual purposes, and I got a friend of mine who works for the water department and was able to get me some of this stuff, and you can order it, but it's permanganate, I believe how you say it. I think I may be saying it wrong, but it's a powder that they use for purifying our water. And this stuff burns pretty hot, but it's a powder, and I'm going to dump a little bit of this powder. It almost looks like fine gunpowder. But what's neat about it as a dual purpose, it's going to make a fire, because it's flammable when you mix it with glycerin, which you'll find in the cake making section. At any cake making section, you'll find a little bottle of glycerin, which is kind of sweet. See what it says on here. 25 calories per serving, so it's got some caloric value to it. But when you mix glycerin with potassium permanganate, that is a potassium permanganate, it will cause a fire. And what I'm going to do is mix it. The dual purpose is the potassium permanganate, that's hard to say, and you can use it to purify water. You can put it in your water, a little bit of it in there, and you look at the measurement ratio. You can look that up. And if I think about it, I'll put it in the caption below or in the description box. But it's the amount on how dirty the water is, and it'll turn the water kind of a pinkish color, but it will purify the water. And I tell you, I learned this little trick from watching Man, Woman, Wild. I'd never heard of it before. I knew about the potassium permanganate purifying water. Like I said, a buddy of mine that works at the water department told me about that, and we do scouts together, have for years, and I thought that was kind of neat. But Hawk on there showed this little trick of having this to purify water, but a little bottle of glycerin. What it does is it causes a chemical fire, and I watched him do it, so we're going to try it right here. And you can see it already starting to bubble and smoke. And it burns hot. That is a chemical fire that will burn really, really, really hot. So if you can't get a fire going with this stuff and then have a way to purify water and some calories, this is a good thing. And it doesn't take up a lot of space in your bag to have that as an extra backup fire and water purification system. You can actually put it in your, I keep if you've seen some other videos, a pouch for my water filter and stuff. I use the Sawyer as my main water filter, and usually I put in there, a container, but I also put stuff in there to make fire, and then some purification tablets. And in one of my other bags in my kits, I keep this in there as well, so I've got a way to make fire, an extra way to purify water. It's a redundancy, and also make a fire with this as well. So just another way to make a fire. And again, it's glycerin and potassium permanganate, which you can order on Amazon, or if you know somebody who works at the water department, they might get you a little bit of it. They dump tons of this into our water supply to filter the water out. Look at that, that is still burning. Wow, that stuff's amazing. And you don't just drip it on there, you gotta get your little dry stick and mix it. Once it's mixed, buddy, you can see how that thing completely took off. Alright, of course there is the trusty match. These are the UCO matches. These things, I didn't bring them. Extra thing of water I had to do it with. If I had a glass I'd show you, but you can light these matches, dip them in water, and they burn underwater, and you can bring them back out and they're still burning. They are amazing, and Walmart's carrying them now, so which is great. And I haven't found them yet, but I know on one of the other guys' channels, Prepared My 101, he had these, and he had a longer version of it that he found, the big ones, and I haven't seen those yet, and as soon as I do, I'm going to find some. But you can check out his video on these little matches. It's maybe a year ago, and he shows it dipping it in the water, and I've done it myself too, and pulling it back out, and it's still lit. These things are amazing. Great matches to have there. But you know, I didn't have a match and lighter, and having all the other ways as well. Another neat little thing is this is a blast match, and if you can see this, you squeeze it and you can see the spark. So if I had my tinder there, and let's see, I think it still hasn't been doing so great for me days it got wet, but let me see if I can just yeah, stuff's damp. But that's a neat little thing. It's small, don't take up much room, and you can see how easy it sparks. Try to get up close and show you one on here on this piece of wood. So if you had dry tinder in that would be no problem to get your fire started with the little blast match. All right. I have covered several. This is another tinder, more of a tinder than a fire, and I've showed this in other videos. This is the Murray Superior Hairdressing Pomade, $2.50. It comes in a tin can at Walmart. It's petroleum based. I keep cotton balls on the top of it, so I can just soak that in there and get the cotton balls going, just like the Vaseline. And when it's done, I actually got a nice little tin that I can use to make char cloth or keep another fire kit in. And of course I like the fact that it's orange, which tells me it's for fire. The next thing I have here I wanted to show you, and I mentioned it at the end, is the bow drill. And I'm going to do that bow drill coming up here in just a second. I'll get it set up and then we'll